UA.A.K7. This is the code that deals with record retention. Now, in regards to record retention, we're really looking at records in Part 89, which is the part that covers remote ID. And there's a couple of things that this overall subject is going to address, although there are some, actually, really one big principle that I think is the key thing to take away from this, and we'll get to that as we go through it. But let's start diving into it. So first of all, we're talking about first is an 89.420 means of compliance. And here it says any person who submits a means of compliance must retain the following information for as long as the means of compliance is accepted, plus an additional 24 calendar months. And you must also make available to the FAA for inspection the following. Okay, and what you have to make available are number one, all documentation and substantiating data submitted to the FAA for acceptance of the means of compliance. Number two, records of all test procedures, methodology, and other procedures as applicable. And then number three, any other information necessary to justify and substantiate how the means of compliance enables compliance with the remote identification requirements of this part. Okay, now the other thing this is going to talk about is FAR 89545, which is a remote ID design and production. And here it says that a person who submits a declaration of compliance under this subpart that is accepted by the FAA must retain the following information for as long as the standard remote ID unmanned aircraft or remote ID broadcast module listed on that declaration of compliance is produced, plus an additional 24 calendar months. Notice how this is the same as it was before as far as the time period. I believe that's very, very important. Okay. You must also make available to the FAA for inspection the following. Okay. Number one, the means of compliance, all documentation and substantiating data related to the means of compliance. Number two is records of all test results. And number three, any other information necessary to demonstrate compliance so that the remote ID, whether it be a standard or a module, meets the remote ID requirements and the design production requirements of this part. So again, there's a lot of little details in there as far as the specifics that it goes into as far as what you have to keep and what you have to make available and so forth. But what would I say are, if you were to ask me, are the most important points to remember? And in my opinion, out of all of this, what you really, really, really need to know for the test is probably going to focus on the length of the record retention. Okay, uh, and what that is the records, you have to keep them for the entire length of the acceptance period, however long that is, plus an additional 24 calendar months after that acceptance period has come to an end. So the length of the acceptance period plus an additional 24 calendar months. Make sure you know that on test day, as I believe that that is probably what the FAA is going to focus most on. Everything I just said is technically fair game, but if I was an FAA test writer trying to see if you understand record retention, this is what I would want to know that you know that it's the entire length of the acceptance period plus an additional 24 calendar months.